Hello everybody and welcome back to Kerbal Space Program, where we just got back from our flyby of the moon and we just picked up a bunch of new contracts, but I just noticed this one in here while I was checking which ones that we had active while familiarizing myself for this episode, because I am at the beginning of, well, not really the beginning, I'm at the end of a new recording session, only recording one KSP episode right now, but here we are, and I found this. Bring a moonstone back with you. Yeah, that's something we can do. Not right now, but that's something we can do eventually. So we can pick that up primarily for the advance. So that, of course, means that we need to do something here. Now, there's a couple of satellite launches that we need to do. We also need to rescue a couple of people from the orbit of Kerbal, and we need to rendezvous two vessels next to each other. Now, I believe that we'll get that done while we're doing these rescues. I believe. So I think that's what we're going to do. We're going to do these first. We'll go ahead and leave this facility, and we can head into the VAB, which we've newly upgraded, and we're now able to make things make a little bit more sense on this ridiculous rocket that we've got here. This thing is absurd. Let's just pretend this doesn't exist. Okay, so we are going to need to use... I'm actually going to use a Mark 1 command pod here. It's only a one-seater, and for the moment, that's okay. So we're going to bring this thing back, of course. I like to build these top-down. So we're going to pop in a parachute and a pair of drogue chutes for the recovery. And this is not exactly central. Still not exactly what we're rotating around, but that's probably close enough. If I can remember what the hotkey is. Pro tip, I cannot remember what the hotkey is, so we're fine. We're fine. So we're going to need to not really bring science. We know that we have basically all the science that we're going to need, so I'm not going to bother including any science on this craft. We are, however, going to bring a crew cabin, and that can hold up to 2 crew. This is, you know, absolutely great. The fact that this is offset like this. I'm going to rotate the crew cabin. So much better. Right. The problem here is that these aren't actually symmetrical. Yeah. We're just going to have to pretend that it's symmetrical. Okay. Sounds good. So we're going to need some sort of a maneuver vehicle, and we're just going to have a T400 and a super lightweight engine here. I'm going to be bringing in not a Terrier, but a Pug. Okay, this is all we're going to be looking to deliver to low orbit. So that should be easy enough to lift, in theory. We're then going to decouple this with a TD12. There we go. And what are we going to use to lift this? Well, we're going to use a pair of T800s, and we're going to use a swivel, a T45 swivel. There we go. Now, this is only 1.13 thrust to weight, so this is too heavy for the swivel to lift, but it's much better in terms of length than the last rocket. No doubt about that. This will be much more steerable. I intended to click here, but instead minimized the game, which is perfect. Okay, we're going to put on a pair of solar panels. I'm going to do that here. Cool. Now we're going to have to boost this with something a little bit heavier. We could probably get away here with simply using hammers and just skipping a little bit on the... Hang on, I'm just thinking about where I want this placed. Skimping a little bit on the cost. So we'd want this to be placed about here, and then we would put in a strut like this. We should not need a strut up this way because we're nowhere near long enough for that, in theory. And then we would put in an aerodynamic nose cone on top of these. And, I mean, this would be fine for parts. I mean, we can have 255 now, but I'm talking about before we upgraded it, this would have been fine. So what are we doing for thrust to weight here? 1.79. We can back off on this thrust slightly and have a little bit longer of a burn time. Something like this, 26.5 seconds. I feel like we're going to be a little bit weak on this stage still, but we're only delivering a T400. It should work. It should work. Oh, these are lifting solo. I meant for these to be assisting the takeoff. So we can see here that with our thrust limited to 89.5, we have a 2.36 thrust to weight ratio. We can back that off quite a lot to get a much longer burn time on the SRBs. That's much better. The SRBs are actually burning almost as long as the liquid fuel, which makes me think, are we better off having liquid fueled side tanks here? We can do that now. This is 7,000. If we were to ditch the hammers and put in a single T800, this is already more expensive. That's too big of a hemispherical tank there. I don't necessarily want an orange one. Let's go for white. Thank you very much. So something kind of like this. I do really like these hemispherical tanks. So we're then going to lift this with, honestly, another pair of swivels. I was thinking about using Reliance, but the gimbaling is, I think, more important, and they would be overkill as it is anyway. Yeah, this is 1.84. So that seems reasonably fine. We drop this down to here, and then we move the actual attachment point up to here. Or not quite there, more like here. Of course, we're going to need to run a fuel line. Something like that. And then we would want to put in a strut connector down here. We can definitely get away with a vehicle more like this. And this is going to be a lot better for us. Like, this is probably going to be enough, depending on the orbits. I haven't actually looked at the orbits. We're going to call this the Kerbal Rescuer Mark 1. Okay. I haven't looked at the orbits, but we might actually be able to use this to rescue both in one mission, which would be great. Now, I do want to have some amount of aerodynamic control here. So let's turn on our aerodynamic overlay and our center of mass overlay. Those feel like overkill. Not as much as the tail fins probably would. But they definitely do feel like overkill. I'd like a smaller variant, but alas, it does not exist. So something like this. We may lose these on detachment. It's a possibility. And even this would have fit into the old VAB. That's actually hilarious. The wonders of technology. Okay, so the Kerbal Rescuer here should be pretty decent. We're going to use Valentina here. She could use some XP. And we are, I think, basically ready to launch this. I want to double check our staging here. And it's a good thing I did because the staging is a little messed up. Something like this. And honestly, I do believe that the Delta Deluxe winglets here are overkill. We could try going for 3 instead of 2. I'm kind of wondering whether they're even necessary for this design. I kind of think they're not. They're more useful for larger and longer rockets. This is a shorter rocket than the last one. And I'm expecting these engines to burn for 41.4 seconds. Okay, that's not that long. And we can always extend this upwards, right? Yeah. So let's go ahead and launch this as is. And we should probably look at the target orbits before we launch here. So let's take a quick look as soon as we get loaded in. Okay, and we're not looking for any science whatsoever here, right? None at all. Definitely seeing us bending a little bit, but actually I think we may have tipped slightly. At any rate, let's see what we've got here. Okay, so this is where we are trying to put one of our satellites, and this is where we're trying to put the other satellite. Neither of these are what we're looking for. So we're going to have to go back to the tracking station and take a look at where exactly Lunar's capsule is. Ah, they're both in pretty low orbits here, and they're both pretty close together. Right. For some reason, I was thinking they'd be higher orbits. I just completely missed them, I guess. But that's fine. That's reasonably fine. So we could go for a bit of a launch window here. I'm bad at that, but we can try it and see what we can get. So let's go ahead and set Lunar's capsule as our target. We're going to turn SAS on, and we're going to warp forward a bit here. Ooh, okay. Off we go. Launched a bit late, but it might be fine. Fine adjacent. Fine-ish. We'll see. I overwarped slightly there. No doubt about that. Okay. Why am I only getting engine audio out of one ear here? I'm looking in OBS and it looks like it's the same there. That's weird. Okay. So we're going to be losing our side boosters here shortly. Let's just try to hold here at the prograde marker. Off go the side boosters. Okay. Looks decent. Oh, we don't have a KER on this, so I don't have this data. That's okay. We don't actually need it. We can hop into, not this. We can hop into this mode. There we go. That's most of the data. It's just in a slightly less accessible format. Cool. So we can see that our apoapsis here is about 40 kilometers. And we're just working on chasing down this vehicle here. Now, we're kind of going up in between the vehicles in an awkward fashion. But that's okay. So I'm just going to level out here at the horizon. We're a little low to be doing this, to be honest. But we've got plenty of fuel and decent thrust to weight. So I'm just leveling off here at the horizon. And we're getting as much horizontal speed as we can. And just pushing our apoapsis on up. I can see that our time to apoapsis is currently ticking downward. Okay, now it's going up. So that's good. We're completely fine. We just need as much horizontal speed as possible, and pushing up the apoapsis at this point isn't awful either. So that'll be fine. Cool. We've got another 15 seconds of burn left in this particular tank. And we're just taking this up to about 83 kilometers. There we go. So we can see here that our intercept isn't exactly right, obviously. Let's try setting this one as... Oh. Hello. What happens exactly? Okay, what's our current altitude? We're still pretty high in the atmosphere here. I just want to see what happens if we burn just a smidge here. We can see that our relative speed is coming up. Okay. 34.5 kilometers isn't too bad, but at this altitude, it'll be a little grim. So let's just go ahead and coast up to space here, where we'll be a little bit more efficient and able to move around. 65 kilometers, 66, 67, 68, 69, and 70. Cool. And let's flip this thing on around. Target will be here, we will be here. So I think we want to burn a little bit more pro target, or target prograde? Okay, that brought it up. So let's just do a little bit of experimentation here. What direction do we need to go? Towards target? Nope. Okay. Fair enough. So we're going to burn target retrograde here pretty soon. Just kind of floating our way around over here. We've got a lot of weight on this right now, so I'm having a bit of a hard time controlling this turn. But that's okay. So, here we go. Target retrograde is the direction we need to burn. So, for the moment, I'm going to burn out everything we've got on target retrograde. In this stage. Everything we have in this stage. Cool. We can see that we're going down slightly right now. We've actually got enough in this stage to kill our relative velocity. We kind of overburned it, looks like. Noted. So our distance is not very far. I'm going to burn towards target here. If I can find towards target. Being able to choose it in this menu is a lot easier when Valentina will be able to do that. But she can't do that right now. Okay, so let's just get aligned towards target here. And let's head on in. We are watching this separation number here. Right here. Cool. Okay, we're starting to lose efficiency on this directionality. And we ran out of fuel in this stage. Honestly, that's a good thing. So we will ditch this stage. And now we are on our tiny little pug. And we've got lots of delta V to work with. So we're definitely losing efficiency on this. So we should warp to about here now. Oh, we don't want to stop time warps for getting into different biomes right now. We'll turn that off. Wait, did we dip down into the atmosphere here? Actually, we did. And we are going down. Awkward. Our periapsis is not very low, so I'm just going to warp on through here. Yeah, we're not going to have too much effect from that. Should be fine. We're going back up at this point. And this is the danger of low orbit rendezvous, right? Especially when I launch at incorrect times. But fair enough. Okay, and now we're out of the atmosphere. Perfect. So we'll warp to about here. And then we're going to flip to target retrograde. Because we're going to need to kill our relative velocity. And we are so much more responsive on this turn with that first stage out of here. Beautiful. So we are going to position here. And we're going to kill our relative speed. There we go. Or most of it, anyway. So now we can burn towards target ever so slightly. Where's intersect 2? Intersect 2. Here's the one we want to look at. Cool. So now we're going to close in on intersect 2. Five kilometers apart. Is that close enough? I think we can bring it in. 3 kilometers. Cool. So now we'll flip over to target retrograde. And we're going to warp to about here. We're going to have a lot of relative speed, of course. And I'm not exactly sure where... Oh, there it is. Cool. So let's kill our relative velocity soon. Actually, now is fine. There we go. Bringing our periapsis awkwardly around. Okay. Continuing to burn a bit here. Much easier when we're able to lock retrograde, but we can't do that just yet. Not with Valentina, anyway. We could if Jeb was here, but Valentina is specifically here to get XP. So that'll be fine. Okay, there we go. And now let's flip around to burning towards target. We're going to do one more get closer burn, if I can actually find the target marker. There it is. Overshot. Cool. And we're going to burn towards this target. A little bit here. At about 5-ish meters per second. Now, I'm going to pull us up over this way. There we go. Now we're heading much closer in. So that's 0.8. I think we can get this a little closer. 0.6. 0.5. 0.4. 0.3. 0.2. 0.1. And that's close enough. Excellent. We're going to warp to about... Actually, I'm not going to warp. We'll flip first. And then we'll bring it into about here. Cool. At this point, we can eyeball it. And let's start killing that relative velocity. Fantastic. About 3 meters per second apart. 2 meters per second apart. 1. And there we go. So we are close. I'm going to get closer. We're going to head in at a very, very gentle 1 meter per second. Flipping back around to target retrograde. And let's warp. We're about 100 meters out. And we're in slightly different orbits here still, but very slightly. So we're now about 50 meters out. Cool. And I'd like to come down over this way like that. And at this point, we can go ahead and hop over here. We'll have Milnard EVA. Milnard, you can let go. And you can just fly on over. Now, this is going to be a little awkward getting in. No doubt about that. Because this only seats 1. So here's what we're going to have to do. Milnard, you can stop here. Getting a little closer. That was a little too close. Okay. Just hang out here. And we're going to need to have Valentina transfer crew here. There we go. And we're then going to have to flip back over to Milnard. And Milnard, you can now hop in. There you go. And then we'll transfer crew, Milnard, over to here. Then we are, of course, going to transfer Valentina back to the cockpit. There we go. And we are now done with Milnard's scrap. Okay, so Lunar's capsule now needs to be our target. This is our closest at this moment. Let's think about changing our orbit in such a way that we would eventually catch up to this thing. Eventually. So we're going to need to encapsulate this orbit in some way. So we're going to take this up to 100 kilometers. It doesn't really matter where we do this. Actually, I'm going to go to 120. This is very minute amounts of delta V. And the higher up we go, the easier it is. So I'm going to go to like 100 meters per second worth, which is about 200 kilometers. Yeah, this will do. 200 kilometers will do just fine. So we will align for that burn. And we'll warp on over. We can definitely get this done in one mission. So that's great. We are out of here. Let's position for this burn. And this is actually basically a pro target burn, which is wild. But that's not the goal behind this. Okay, let's start up this burn. And off we go. Cool. We've got plenty of delta V. But all we're looking to do here is circularize this orbit. And that'll be just fine. There we go. And we will then circularize up over here. But it is time to put a cut in here, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. And next episode, we are going to finish this particular mission. And we're going to bring back Lunar as well. You can leave your offerings to the engagement gods. Oh, hello, that's a KSC right there. You can leave your offerings to the engagement gods in the form of likes, comments, subscribes, and bell ringings, and a very special thank you to all of the channel members for making this video possible, including Casserole, JJ Gamer, ALS Gamer, Kentuin, Atala, Shadow Wolf, Jensgram, Spartan News, Nick Smarty, Video Games Are Not Real, Dimitri H, Punching the Microphone, Kadra, and all the rest. And of course, you. Thank you for watching. If you'd like to support the channel, you can click the join button down below the video. And as always, I will see you all next time.